Brother, I understand it's frustrating fighting a battle you didn't get to choose. But understand, the only life worth living is on the other side of the pain you never asked for. So make something of it.
Persistence, patience, perseverance. When something doesn't work, there's always another solution.
There's a way that you can begin to handle this. There's a way out here somewhere. There's a solution. Where there's a will, there's a way for me to begin to create a way out of no way. And when you have that kind of consciousness, when you have that kind of spirit, nothing can stop you.
Certain types of people take the pain and let it beat the strength into them, and other people take the pain and let it beat the strength out of them. And they blame the person who caused that pain as the reason they are not successful, rather than saying, I will not give this person power anymore. As a result of the pain that they beat into me, I will become stronger. The level of success proportional to the pain that you experienced, once you have satisfied, there comes a point where you're like, it's not really reasonable for anyone to say that I'm not successful anymore.
Don't believe in us, bro. Doubt us. Make fun of us. Laugh, giggle, make remarks. Please do, because I take all of that shit and I turn it into productive energy, and I end up stepping on your throat with that. We have to learn as individuals to take all the negativity and disbelief and doubt and limits that people put on us and turn it into real action. If you can't do that, you won't succeed, because you get so much negativity and so much limiting belief and so much doubt, so much bullshit that happens over the course of the journey that you're on, that if you can't take it and turn it into productive action, it's gonna wear you down, bro, and it'll crush you.
I'm the guy that missed out on all the fun. I didn't go to college. I never went to the parties. I've never had a drink in my life. I never had the big friend group, and I'm still missing out big time because I don't get to spend every weekday of my life being a slave to some stupid ass corporation. I don't get to filter who I am through the eyes of a bunch of losers that I'm trying to impress. I don't get to wake up every day and wonder what the hell my purpose is as I wait for the weekend where I can drink that wonder away. A laundry list of the existential pains of the people that thought they were having all the fun. What an incredible life to miss out on.
Stop wasting your time. Death is coming for us all, but not at the end of our life, Seneca said. No, we are dying every day. Every minute that passes is as good as dead to us. It is gone forever. How much time have you already wasted on your phone today? How much time have you wasted ruminating on the past or worrying about the future? Now is now. It is the only thing you have for certain. Memento mori. You are mortal. Live and act accordingly.
I want you to actively try to expand your image of yourself. So here's an experiment you can do tomorrow. Try to drop everything that people have said about who you are and try to reimagine yourself. Think of yourself as having limitless potential with resources of energy and resilience that you haven't even begun to tap into. Imagine for yourself a powerful sense of destiny that at your birth you were actually fated to accomplish something great. Reassess your ambition. Ambition nowadays is almost seen as a dirty word, but it's not. It's a great thing. It's the source of anything that is powerful and fantastic in this world. Stop feeling the need to be so humble and self-deferential in life. If you have a pet project that you've been wanting to do, think of actually starting it in the near future.
I think a lot of people are afraid to jump all the way. It's kind of like having faith. A lot of us say we believe, but we don't really show it. Because if we showed it, we would be okay taking a chance in a relationship, taking a chance switching jobs, taking a chance going against our parents' wishes. A lot of people stay in those bubbles, and it's very hard for those people, I believe. I think it's really fear and lack of jumping in life all the way.
We want to show all the hoopla. I hate what's going on Instagram right now. Everybody living their fake life, $50,000 cash on a bed and a boat, and painting a lifestyle that is not realistic. What we need to all be doing is figuring out what we're best at and going all in on that.
Most people don't say what they want in life, where they want to go, who they want to be. They take it as it comes. What do I want? What kind of friends do I want? What kind of life do I want? And then I think speak that out, first of all, like declare that, be honest.
Challenge of real life is being able to take something that's supposed to count you out and say, you won't win because I control the outcome. If it was not for the things I did not have, I don't know if I would have ever pushed the way I pushed.
When I was at rock bottom, I didn't know that I was at rock bottom. And you can't really change what you're not aware of. And so it was like one of those things where it's like, can it get any worse? Bam! Can it get any worse? Bam! And I kept asking the question, can it get any worse? I didn't know that what I was asking was causing my life.
You can measure the progress in your life by your ability to control the environment in which you live. They have an end game goal. I'm gonna be famous. If you're listening to this, you have an end game goal in life. For some people, it's making $1 million. For some people, it's six-pack abs, best-selling author. We try to move towards things of intense pleasure and move away from pain and discomfort.
Why do we exist? Judah, why do you exist? Why do we exist? Not the answer you think you're supposed to give, but the answer, like the truth of what you want and why you exist. All right, we're gonna get bare bones honest here. This is actually what I want in life. This is actually why I exist. And then we've got to like hold each other accountable to that.
I had a system. It was if you get up and do it, there's only a certain thing that follows, action, and that's results.
The impact of someone growing up in a struggled household where there's fear-based, that's a form of language. Most people don't know the language outside of that because they stay inside, watch the same TV shows, listen to the same radio station, hang around the same friends, never read books, and just follow wherever society says, do this is popular, do this is popular, but never really think for themselves.
That's the good life. You define it however you want to define it. But to realize it is harder. So as I said, everybody wants the good life, but not everybody gets the good life. So what I'm interested in, it's not about whether I make $1 million or not. Many people make $1 million and many people don't. What's more interesting of a problem is how do you get what you want?
You gotta know your story. And that story has got to be personal, not distance from you. It is the more personal your story, the more effect you have. The more personal your story, the more universality that you have.
So for me, I have to do this. I've been, it's why I was failed school. It's why I sold baseball cards when I was 14. So for me, I'm okay with the failures, the losses along the way. It's my natural state. I just want people who are listening to find their natural state and not force into the current narrative.
I don't think people can be who they're supposed to be without community. And community doesn't have to be 10,000 people. It can be 5, it can be 3, it can be the right people, not just a bunch of people, but the right people. It's been said, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. It's real. I can tell you where you're going right now by the people you're hanging out with on a consistent basis.
The game, the competition, it ain't about nobody else. It's about you versus you. How can you inspire yourself to achieve a level of greatness that not too many people that will ever walk this earth can pull off?
How do you fit into the cog? How are you the cog fitting into this universe? If you can figure that out, you will find the good life.
Your story, your quest to be the best has got to be physical. In a world that has reduced itself to communicating so tiny that our bodies just can't do it. We can't fit into it. And that's the reason we're so messed up. we start crossing boundaries, we start doing goofy stuff with our bodies because it's not expressive. We don't let this sucker out to hunt.
I'd like to be politically correct. I'd like to be perfect. I'd like to make it easy on myself to not have to deal with the stress of the optics on the outside. Here is the punchline problem. You can't run away from who you are. You can't. And so, like, I want it, and I want it real bad.
Number one, more personal, the more universal, the more impact you have. Number two, physicality. People believe 50% of what comes out of your mouth. You believe my body 100% of the time, because the body can't lie.
Life will throw tremendous blows at you. Betrayal of friends, betrayal of business partners, death of loved ones, things that we consider unfair. If you can overcome those, you can actualize the good life.
Who they are. Because if you don't tell yourself who you are, then you'll allow anybody else to tell you who you are.
It's impossible to be dismissed if it's life and death. For you to build your quest, that's life and death. Because what happens to you if that quest never happens? What happens to your family? It's life and death to somebody. Everybody understand? The urgency's got to be there, okay? We are predators. This is how we're made. It's so much easier to be this. It's so much easier to be the best than it is to be mediocre.
Blame this, blame that, blame. And I'm like, the one person I've never blamed was myself. Maybe it's my fault that I am where I am. So I can't do anything about anyone else, but I can do something about me.
Pain is part of being alive. We're not living a Disney cartoon. We're living real life. And the pain we feel, it makes us more human. It makes us more alive.
Things that I think when their legacy is done, when the shade one day will close, where will people look back one day and say, what did you give me? All I can leave is everything that I've endured, all of my pain that I don't remember, and all of the people that come behind me can one day look back and say, he did, so can I.
Like to say that anything that you love as a child is connected to your inner child, which is directly connected to source. As soon as I started doing everything that I loved, there was a surge of power, a surge of confidence. I wasn't insecure anymore because the emotion that had the most dominance in my thought process and in my heart process.
If you try to conquer and overcome fear, that effort will either run or ultimately ruin your life. But if you embrace fear, that effort will turn fear into one of the greatest experiences you have here on planet Earth.
So I want to plant more seeds in the garden of my life. Seeds are things that are like compassion, love, purpose, fulfillment, meaning, joy, service. And weeds are when we do things out of ego, envy, competition. And so every day, I'm plucking out the weeds out of my life. I'm trying to plant more seeds.
I realize it's not I think, therefore I am. If I could change that a little bit, I'd say I observe what I think, therefore I am. I'm not my thoughts. I'm the observer of them. You know, if you have a thought, creating a gap before you act on that thought. And in this gap is like this magical chamber where you can change. That's where you can step in and form new neurology, new neural networks, rewire new patterns and start old neural patterns.
But there is an intelligence that is beyond the mind, that is breathing, it is functioning, it is digesting your food right now. It is the intelligence that is processing, in your brain. It's the same intelligence I feel that is functioning the sun and the star and the moons. So I don't believe this intelligence is necessarily separate from us as some higher power thing. I believe it's the very essence of what we are, but we've kind of disconnected and forgotten.
there's pillars in life, right? So there's different kinds of success. And so there's monetary success. That's one bucket of your life, you know? I think it's easy for people to get so singularly focused in one pillar, and that makes their whole life off kilter.
Involved in, when you refine that intention and it gets purer and purer and purer, not that we're ever fully pure, but it gets purer and purer and purer, you'll just see magic happen around you. So many things will open up, things that you never imagined.
Turns out if you're being observant or curious, you're in a mindful state. That easy. So if you're anxious, all you have to do is get really observant and really curious. It can be about the light in the room, it could be the smell of something, but you're forced instantly into a mindful state.
I think there's a consciousness that we are all a part of, that we all are connected to, that is intelligence, that has a knowing. And I believe at that deepest level, we know everything. Because at the deepest level, beyond this physical body, we are everything. I think get comfortable with not knowing. I think the degree of freedom we experience in life is also in direct proportion to our ability to be in the unknown and not know.
To change who you are. And this can show up in so many different ways. Maybe as a way to avoid fear, you withdraw from life, or you're in your head all the time so you don't have to deal with the feelings in your body. Or you make yourself so busy as a way to run away from the fear. Shift in gratitude, because I think gratitude is the basis for happiness and the basis for joy. And all of us got a reset button on gratitude. Because, you know, it's very easy when you're on autopilot, you're going to and from work, you're doing this, you know, we take certain things for granted. And now, I mean, the simplest things when we come out of this, we're gonna have such extreme gratitude.
Finding your daily rituals, finding your daily habits, finding your practices that act as the foundation, because we're living in such busy, hectic, crazy time, or whether it's getting lost by getting distracted from what's really meaningful to you.
You know, I think so often we're conditioned to know everything. We've got to know who we are, at least who we think we are. We've got to know where we're going. We have to know what's happening. We have to know what's going to happen in 10 years. And the reality is, I think life itself is way bigger than what we can structure and plan with our minds. And so I think there is a way to plan and strategize, but not get so attached to our idea of how we think life should be.
It takes courage to bloom. So I want you to know that in this season of uncomfortable growth, that you are way braver than you think. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. It's going to cost you your comfort zone and your sense of direction. It's going to cost you relationships and friends. It's going to cost you being liked and understood. It doesn't matter. All you're going to lose is what was built for a person you no longer are.
Everything in your life is a reflection of a choice you have made. If you want a different result, make a different choice.
Everybody has the desire to do something, but they don't have they don't know how to really complete the process of dedicating themselves and having the discipline to do it. If you got the desire, you got to match that desire with your dedication, and you got to match it with your discipline.
No idea how limitless you are when you don't care what other people think or say about you. It is fear that drives that. It is. And most of your mates that you hang around with are just as afraid because you pick somebody like yourself to hang around with.
If you feel like you lost your way, I would say congratulations. If you're lost, that only means one thing. You're about to be found. And sometimes you need to lose your way in order to find a better way. Sometimes you need to lose certain things to gain better things. Sometimes certain doors have to close that you want to keep open so a better door can come into your life.
There are too many people who have doubted you that you've given credit to.
You've allowed them to have a name for being able to be negative in your life. It's time for you to give an eviction notice. There's no vacancy in your life and in your heart and mind available if you're going to be great. It's time for you to say, I've given a one-day notice that those who told me I couldn't be great, I gotta release them. Those who said that you would never make it, release them. It's time to trade in those places and those people that tried to stop you and adopt a philosophy that says, watch me.
Sometimes the reason that you're suffering is because you just won't let go of the thing that's biting you. And so one of the rules is, if people are impeding your development, you sacrifice your relationship with them, right? It's a very, very rough rule.
Rather than trying to impress people who don't give a shit about you, just start impressing the next 2.0 version of yourself. Like, what would the next highest, most stoic version of you be impressed by today? Would it be impressed by the fact that you're going to bed earlier? That you're waking up and getting your workout in? That you're eating right? What would the future self be impressed by? Make a list of 3 to 5 things and then start doing those things. Like, those are the things I love impressing the future me versus trying to impress the people around me.
I think something that keeps people so stagnant is the fear of stepping into the unknown. You know, staying where we are is painful and we don't like it, but we allow the fear of stepping into the unknown to keep us in situations that we don't even like because we're scared to take that leap. We're scared to really, you know, put ourselves out there and lean into that uncertainty. But you got to understand that uncertainty is a gift. It is a gift.
It's quite possible that things could turn out better than you could have ever imagined. Sometimes scenarios play out in our lives and things don't work out the way that we wanted them to. And the reason for that is because the universe knows that you deserve way better. So, when the door closes in your life that you really wanted to enter, first, grieve it, and then get really excited because the next door will be the one that was made for you.
I think as a human, sometimes you feel like you always gotta wait for the right time, what makes sense to you to actually start executing, to actually stop making excuses, to doing the things that you always really wanted to do. And I'm starting to find myself now being like, nah, there is no right time to do anything. You just gotta start doing.
It's time for them to see that everything that's within you, every dream that God gave you, can become a reality. But in order to get there, you gotta put a seed in the ground of belief. You gotta be able to water it with daily affirmations. You gotta be able to step on it, to pack it down, to make sure that there is nothing to snuff out and then allow the sun to rain down on it. I mean, every single day you allow light in by separating yourself from negative people. And then while they're sitting there watching you, day after day, you'll begin to grow. And in the beginning stages of you going after your greatness, it'll be difficult for some people to tell the difference between a weed and that which took seed. But it won't take long, because that which has a seed will one day show up with fruit. See, fruit will remain out of the work that you do today. People whose lives will be changed. People will see what you are. There is something on you that is calling us to acknowledge you. And I'm here to validate and say, you are great just the way you are.
If you have a goal, you have a responsibility to rise to the level required to achieve it. A responsibility to respect yourself enough to put in the work. It won't be easy, but if it was, everyone would do it. There wouldn't be so many early mornings, failures, or sacrifices. Everything that comes with the struggle is what turns you into the person who's capable of achieving the things that you want. So stop shying away from the challenge. It's your responsibility to face it.
Expecting it to be easy is what makes it much harder than it ever is. And the path of the exceptional person is one of an exception, which means that you are not feather people. It won't get harder. Like, this is the hardest part. And so if you can just make it through this, everything else is downhill.
Get to where you want in life, just not in the way you imagine. And that's because the path that's paved is far different to the path we pave.
Just don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do, or can or cannot achieve. Just don't allow it. Just do not allow it. Be whatever you want to be.
Stop tying your value and worth to external achievements. How much money you make, the position at your company, what kind of car you drive. Your value must be linked to something greater than material things that can disappear overnight. Greater than what the world defines as success. Instead of looking out here for validation about your value, look internally. Look at your heart. Look at your intentions. Look how far you've come. Get your idea of your value and worth from that. It will free you in so many ways. Stop looking out here for your worth and value. Look inside and look up.
We believe that the biggest obstacle we have to overcome is out there, and many times the call is coming from inside of our own house. I think that the worst enemy that many people have is the voice that's inside of their own head. Now, this voice has probably maybe come from the outside world, but we've now internalized it. You know, we have become our own worst enemy in some regards.
You have to stay busy. You have to find yourself now. You have to find out who you are. And it's gonna take effort, man. I hate to tell you that because I know it's probably gonna be hard sometimes, but you can do it.
How I keep positive, I'd say, is every time it gets tough, and when I feel like I don't want to do it, there is someone out there in this world laying on a hospital bed, begging for a second chance at life. I don't think I have any excuse to not go hard.
It's easy to give up. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm done. But what's hard is going, yo, yesterday I got nothing from working as hard as I could. Nothing happened from that. I'm gonna do the same thing again today, but I'm gonna try to go harder. That's the hardest thing in the world. And give 100% and be in the same position that you were each day, but mentally know that you're trying and trying and trying. That's a real grind.
Your current situation is not your final destination. There's more to your life. And I know right now it's hard for you to believe that, but I need you to believe it. Like everything you're currently facing is building you for something greater. You're more than your struggles, you're more than your pain. I know you feel like nobody understands you, nobody gets you. I know you feel alone and isolated. You should have flooded your life with appreciation. Even for the little things, the small things, for breath in your body, for your heartbeat. Because appreciation is the first step to elevating your life. So I want to tell you, I'm proud of you for not giving up when it's so easy to.
Your work ethic reflects your gratitude, which ultimately leads to your results. The grateful person shows up early. The grateful person gives full effort. The grateful person asks several questions. Look around you, and you can tell those who are grateful by their work ethic. Those who are great in any profession understand it starts with the understanding that you are capable of going from nothing to everything.
But here's the thing, that if you have a very clear vision and you're absolutely convinced and have the faith in your vision, then all the work that you need to do becomes easier because there's a purpose for it.
Haven't you imagined a better life? Okay, who you think he showed it to? He showed it to you. Why you think he showed it to you? Because he want to give it to you. But if you don't work, if you don't ask him for it, he cannot give it to you because he created us with the power of choice.
It's not okay for you to be a weak loser. It's not okay. And the reason it's not okay is because you could be way more than that. And it's a crime, an ethical crime, for you to allow all that necessary potential to go to waste. It hurts you, it hurts your family, it hurts the world. Really, really, it does.
There are two types of pain, the pain of action and the pain of inaction. The pain of action is blunt, in your face, and forces you to grow. For every hour we suffer through sharpening our skills, being proactive, and restoring order, we don't reduce the amount of pain we face, but rather we take it on the chin. We sign up for it up front. And because of this voluntary acceptance, day after day, we gain the strength to shoulder it. By embracing pain instead of running from it, we are simultaneously transformed by it. We become someone we are proud of, someone that others can depend upon, which in turn gives meaning to the pain. And it's this feeling of growth and progress that helps us feel useful to ourselves, useful to others, which gives the suffering a purpose.
I don't think anyone who suffered a tragedy that has gotten through it in some way will tell you, I needed to find deeper meaning in my life. Once something has happened that is a tragic event, a loss, a death, or anything that is a setback, some people numb themselves. But that doesn't mean the pain's not there, it just means you're not feeling it. Tragedy is just too strong, too powerful for the mind to fathom, let's be honest. The mind cannot deal with it. So you have to go deeper than the mind. And the place that's deeper than the mind is love, faith, hope, meaning, and purpose. And that's what you hold on to for your dear life. And you just forge ahead. And some days are going to be harder, and some will be easier. Sometimes it's very painful. And if you can move from one day to the next, you get stronger, whether you know it or not. And ultimately, what will emerge is a new person, a person that you'll see that you went through the fire and you become a more powerful person in the process.
I'm starting to realize how conditioned we are into believing how limited we are. And as you start peeling those layers away and you break through those beliefs, those self-limiting thoughts and emotions, on the other side of that is where the miraculous happens. I think this is a time in history where it's not enough to know. And because of technology, we have access to so much content, and information creates awareness. And awareness is consciousness. And in an age of information, ignorance is a choice. There's an energetic change, I think, that's taking place in the world right now where people are so informed that old models, old paradigms are beginning to break down, whether it's the medical model, or the religious model, the education model, journalism, the economy, politics. It's all beginning to come to the surface because something else has to come out. And 10 years ago, information was the thing that stimulated thought, stimulated new ideas. And as we learn new things, we make new connections in our brains. So as we begin to add new stitches into that three-dimensional tapestry in our mind, we're beginning to cause our mind to function in new ways. But the key then is to apply it. You just got to understand the formula. And just like any skill or anything you learn, you got to go from thinking to doing to being. You got to take knowledge and you create the experience, and if you keep doing it over and over again, you start getting a skill, or you start getting wise about how to do it. And you know that you know how to do it. In the last 10 years, we have assembled a scientific team, and let's see if you can really make significant brain changes. I don't want those changes to just be in your mind. I want them to be in your brain. I want to be able to see before and after pictures to say, that person has a significant change after a traumatic brain injury, or anxiety or depression, or a cyclic mood disorder, or a stroke. We want to see that there's been significant change. At the same time, let's measure your brain in real time, and let's look to see what that transformation process looks like. We gained so much knowledge about what that transformational process looks like. In other words, I can tell you without a doubt that if you're analyzing your life right now within some disturbing emotion, that 100% of the time you're going to make your brain worse. If you're stuck in an emotion and you're thinking within that emotional state, in other words, you can't think greater than how you feel, that means then you were thinking in the past because those emotions are a residue of the past. So we see people in the process of change that are analyzing in duality or polarity. That kind of drives the brain into higher states of arousal and further away from true change. So we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of brain scans, and we now know that there's a formula to create greater brain coherence, greater brain efficiency, to make your brain work better. And when your brain works better, you work better. At the same time, it requires a clear intention and an elevated emotion to begin to change your energy and to change your life. And nobody changes until they change their energy, right? So then how do you get a person out of resentment, frustration, into joy and freedom? Why would they feel grateful or joyful or free if the experience hasn't happened? So most people are spending the majority of their life waiting for something out there to take away their emptiness or pain or the resentment in here. Well, if they're waiting their whole life in separation or lack, then, and we create reality, then the lack is driving certain thoughts, which is creating more separation and more lack. So teaching people then to begin to condition their body emotionally before the evidence takes place in their life is breaking a significant habit. So instead of living by cause and effect, now we're beginning to cause and effect. So the moment you start feeling whole and grateful, we now know your healing will begin at that moment. The moment you start feeling worthy and abundant, your wealth is coming. You know, you're generating a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of wealth. And so let's stop telling the story of your past and let's start telling the story of your future. And people who aren't defined by a vision of the future, for the most part, are left with memories of the past. And your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. So most people wake up in the morning and they start thinking about their problems. And those problems are memories that are tattooed in the brain that are associated to certain people and things at certain times and places. So the person wakes up clean slate, they start thinking about the problems they're thinking in the past. If you believe your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, well, there's a possibility that your past is going to be your future. Every one of those problems has an emotion associated with it. So then the moment you start recalling the problem, you start feeling unhappy. Now your body's in the past because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So people reaffirm their identity based on the past, right? And it turns out that the redundancy of doing that, conditioning only requires an image and an emotion. And most people are unconsciously conditioning their body into the familiar past, into the known. So now if you're in the familiar past and in the known, you're going to crave the predictable future, right? That's the known as well. And there's only one place where the unknown exists, and that's the eternal present moment. That's the sweet spot, the generous present moment. So you gotta labor to get that person beyond the emotions that keep them tacked or anchored to the past. And yes, it takes an effort to do that, but if you keep working with the formula, you'll reach that elegant moment where there's a liberation of energy. And now your body, as the unconscious mind, the objective mind, is not believing it's living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, because you're liberating the body from that emotional state. So you ask a person, why are you so unhappy? Why are you so frustrated? Why are you so resentful? The moment you ask that, their brain is going to associate that emotion to a past event. That's because they have nothing to look forward to in their future. So if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, it just means to me that you're more in love with your past than you are with the future. So how do you teach people to believe in a future that they can't see or experience with their senses yet, but they've thought about enough times in their mind that their brain is literally changed to look like the event has already occurred? The latest research in neuroscience says that's absolutely possible, and we know that. And how do you teach a person to select a new possibility in their future and begin to emotionally embrace that future before it's made manifest to such a degree that their body, as their unconscious mind, is believing it's living in that future reality in the present moment, and they're signaling new genes and new ways ahead of the environment. Now, till their body begins to change to look like the event has already occurred. We've proven. So your body is believing it's living in that future reality in the present moment. Now think about this. The stronger the emotion you feel from some condition in your life, the more altered you feel inside of you, the more you narrow your focus on the cause, and the brain freezes an image and takes a snapshot. And that memory now is embossed in the brain. It's branded in there. So then people think neurologically within the circuits of those past experiences, and they feel chemically within the boundaries of those emotions. And the stronger the betrayal, the stronger the trauma, the more the body's living in the past, right? So how do you reverse that? So now, if you truly got passionate about a future, we've all done this. You get a wild idea in your mind and you start holding on to that vision and you're preoccupied with it. All of a sudden, the thought in your mind becomes the experience, and you start feeling the energy of the future. Now, the stronger the emotion you feel from that vision, the more you're going to pay attention to the picture in your mind, and now you're remembering your future.
And vice versa, the stronger you pay attention to the feeling of the past pain, you're going to create the pain in this moment.
Exactly. So then it requires a coherent brain, and we now know that there's a formula for that, and we've got beautiful research to show that people can do it. They just have to practice. and it requires a coherent heart. It just requires getting still, closing your eyes, putting your attention on your heart, changing your breath so that you move into the present moment. And when you slow your breathing down, you slow your brainwaves down. When you slow your brainwaves down, now you're accessing your autonomic nervous system. So then you train a person how to open their heart and feel an elevated emotion, and it takes a little practice. And just like a flower that takes time to bloom, trading the resentment, the frustration, or the impatience for gratitude, appreciation, and thankfulness, and you keep at it, there'll come a moment where that system switches on, and now you're feeling grateful for no reason at all. In 4 days, we now know that you can change your genetic destiny if you just practice the inner work. See people with stage 4 cancer, with Parkinson's disease, with myasthenia gravis, with lupus, with MS, with brain injuries, with rare genetic disorders, with vertigo, tinnitus, kidney failure, all kinds of health conditions come to a week-long event, and then at the end of that event, they make significant strides in getting beyond the emotions of the past. Now think about this. The science says that the environment signals the gene, that's epigenetics. The end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion. So as long as you're living by the same emotion every single day, you're signaling the same gene in the same way. And if that gene is related to a survival emotion, a stress hormone, then you're down-regulating the gene and you're creating disease. So when the person trades that emotion and really breaks free from the chains of their past, and now they're feeling an elevated emotion, well, now they're dialing down the gene for MS, and they're upregulating the gene for health and balance. And so the person, you'll say to them, where's the disease? Well, I'm not the same person. I'm not this, and the side effect of that is a transformation and healing. So the funny thing about it is the person who has the healing is not talking about the healing. What they're talking about is how amazing they feel. Problem is the moment you start feeling emptiness or lack, your brain is going to start to look for something outside of you to take it away. The problem is that normally the stimulation that's created from those outer things give the body a rush, and so the receptor sites on the cells recalibrate. So you need more the next time to turn it on.
It's the what if I can pull off a miracle. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? The only way to do anything in life is to first change your mindset. Start telling yourself you can do anything through hard work, dedication. One key word in everything with success is learn how to suffer. You must learn how to suffer. Those who suffer win.
To accept our circumstances unconditionally. That's where I call it emotional invincibility. That's where when you get to that point of where you've accepted everything that's ever going to happen to you and you've made peace with it before it even happens. When it happens, you're like, oh, okay, this sucks. Worst thing that I could ever imagine, but I can't change it. So I'm not going to, problems are difficult enough to move through and overcome. Why add emotional turmoil to those problems? It doesn't help you get through the problem. In fact, it simply makes it harder. It takes longer, or it prevents you from solving a problem altogether because he's so emotionally engaged in it. You can't see, the sunshine through the clouds.
When I'm saying purpose, I think it's about defining your goals, defining what the life you're trying to build is, and having a real model for what you're doing. I think asking yourself tough question. Who am I? What kind of person do I want to be? Is this the right thing to do? Pausing for a second instead of just reacting emotionally all the time is a way to kind of get out of that self-absorbed cycle.
Nobody can come to your house and take your pick out. I mean, especially today. So until you understand that you are in charge of, your mental aptitude, the way that you're going to handle life and take on the bump bruises, you're not going to get anywhere.
Quote is this: the question is not, are you worthy to reach your goals? The question is, are your goals worthy enough of you?
I believe that everything happens for a reason, but it's 100% our responsibility to choose the reasons.
Because remember, transformation comes from a discussing the limit. It comes when our worldview is shaken up. And part of that shake-up has to be to help you see that could it be that you are living a tiny slice of your potential.
Life was always giving you a test, trying to give you a way out, trying to give you an excuse not to show up. Guess what? You gotta have the mentality to show up every day of your life.
And you know, the most important thing is you like you. So whatever you wanted to hear, say it to yourself, because your mind doesn't even know that it's coming. And it also doesn't care. Your mind doesn't care what you tell it is right or wrong, or true or false, or even if it's good or bad, it lets it in. And the familiar, unfamiliar, if praise is unfamiliar, but criticism is familiar, and if you're not used to praise, you'll reject it. And if you're used to criticism, you'll add it in. Because we do what's familiar.
If they look at all their success and where they're happy or where they overcome things in life, they realize they dug deep into something. You know, they realize that they didn't take no for an answer. If they look at where they are stuck or challenged, they need to reflect and say, at what point in my life did that starry-eyed person, where did it go? You know, and what took that away? Once you accept that, you'll realize you can get back to where you were or that good moment, but you just have to take a hard look and take inventory. Until you create that change yourself, like, what do you expect to get out of it? You're gonna get zero.
Realism is nothing more than a socially acceptable form of pessimism. The people with the most consistent track records of success don't think in terms of what is, they think in terms of what could be.
I experience negative emotions, right? And the difference is, what do you do with that emotion, right? So the emotion isn't the problem. It's what do you do with it? It's not that emotional state that's the biggest problem for most people, myself included. It's what we do with that state, and we usually judge it, but don't give it a lot of importance. Don't give that temporary emotional state a significant amount of significance, right? Just go, this is temporary, I accept it, you know, whatever.
Can make anything familiar or unfamiliar. And my advice to everyone is look at your bad habits and make them unfamiliar. And look at what you want, especially praise, and make it familiar.
The way to change the world is to start by changing some tiny thing, right? What matters is, did you make something that stands the test of time? And did you keep working at it past when everyone else would have given up and said, like, it's on to the next thing, or, you know, I'll do this other thing because I can make more money or whatever. Like, you've gotta stay at it and stay at it and stay at it long past whenever the ego gets bored.
You are you. You are who you are. And your vision has to be unique to you. And this is about getting you to think boldly, but not to start the next startup because you want to start the next startup because everybody else is doing it, or become the next best-selling author because everybody else is doing it. It's to figure out, what is that unique vision that's emerging from you? What is that life that you want to lead?
It's taking a hard, deep look at your inventory of, you know, what in life was the successes, what were your failures, and how did you learn from them? Take an inventory of where you want to go, how do you want to see, taking inventory of what is your, you know, your asset right now. We have a certain amount of time. Are you somebody that likes it for you? I mean, do you want to cure somebody's problem? People love you. You know, are you willing to work harder than everybody else? Where is the empty you see in the world that's going to need to be changed? So you take inventory of all these needs of real soul searching, and you're at the first step, bro. Living a very fruitful life.
And that's the lesson for everybody, is that we can choose to be, consciously choose to be. First, you accept that you can't change, and then you go, what emotion would best serve you? And I think more often than not, it's gratitude and happiness for the most part, or optimism, is an emotion. But we can be the happiest and the most grateful we've ever been while we are going through the most difficult, painful, scary time in our lives. And here's the thing, it just makes it that much easier. It doesn't mean that it doesn't suck, but it means that you're not letting the fact that it sucks completely control your emotional well-being. But every person that's created extraordinary results, that changed the world, that's become, financially free, whatever the result is, they established faith that they could do it. The faith was unwavering, and they put forth extraordinary effort until, in the operative word, underline the word, circle the word until they got it. The program in the past, and we need something in writing to program us based on what we want for our future.
No matter what life throws at you, it's our responsibility to show up to the Coliseum of life, prepare for battle. I don't care what you're going through, what life's throwing at you. It's your responsibility to find your new 100%. Take it upon yourself to do that.
A big part of finding out what's right for you is stop confining yourself to a path that you've been convinced is the path.
You are purpose as a person. That's what I've been saying. When I said that, it kind of changed my life. So I say, I am purpose. If you're looking for a miracle, you're that miracle.
There are invisible forces that shape our life, shape our destiny. We believe hallucination that the physical reality is all there is. Every time something's extraordinary, every time it's extraordinary. We don't know where we are, we know when we are, but we know why we are.
We always learn about the blocks of success, the steps of success, the principles of success, the actions of success, the words of success. I know more about failure than anyone. And there's as much to learn from failure as there is from success.
All the things you can control and then the things you can't control. If you try to start controlling things that you can't, you're just gonna get frustrated and angry and anxious, right? But the only things you can control are your thoughts and your actions, and that is it. That is it. So you have this choice. You try and control all this other stuff, or you could just decide that it's fine, that everything else is fine.
And our feelings are the most real thing we have, and we push them down. We find all this stuff to buy or eat or drink or take to keep us, like John Lennon said, comfortably numb. But then the feelings regroup and come back because they've always got a job to do. Look, you've got to feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt.
Very much so. Go to school and get married and have kids, and that's a success. And really stepping outside of that and exploring, whether that's in school and taking classes that you might not take at first glance, whether it's going and experiencing different types of arts, meeting different types of people, making new friends. I think there's so much out there that you don't even know exists.
If I ever feel like in any moment life is not going the way that I think it should be going, it's because I'm resisting what is.
I always say, if fear was a door and behind this door was all this negativity things that I'm saying, like I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna suck, I'm never gonna walk through that door. So in order for me to walk through the door, even though the door is super scary, I have to make empowering things on this side of the door, right? I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna grow. Even if I don't win, it's gonna be something valuable in it. So let me walk through this door, right? Even though it might not be perfect, I'm still gonna find growth inside of it.
Unless you claim extraordinary, ordinary claims you.
If you wake up tomorrow morning and blame the government, the environment, the weather, Joe Blow, if you blame anything or anyone else, you have no reason to change. But if you blame yourself, you're not gonna like it. Right. So what happens that morning in the mirror? Do you look at the mirror and do you blame something else, or do you blame yourself?
Every single moment is an opportunity for us to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. And so I just try and play the game. If I'm miserable, if I'm upset, if I'm angry, if I'm cranky, it is my responsibility because it's based on what I'm thinking or believing in that moment.
people out there that are going through fearful moments, it's kind of like this. You will never step into the ring if you're already telling yourself that you're going to lose before the fight. You'll never do that. Like, why would you? Right? So tell yourself you're going to win. Even if you get knocked down, guess what? You're never knocked out in life until you actually tap out to your last day.
Got to convince them that their fears shouldn't hold them back. That, using the excuse of scarcity or consequence or ego or any of these things holds us back from our future.
So for me, the first step is just opening yourself up to new experiences and new role models. Because most of us can't see ourselves in people, so then we try and fit ourselves into the boxes that we do see.
Fear is creating a known result from a situation you haven't experienced yet.
We are wired to like what is familiar and to resist what's unfamiliar. So we have this wiring that says, run towards what's familiar and run away from what's unfamiliar. And the most important thing to make familiar is praising yourself. That's, if you could just do that, that in itself would change your entire life.
So we live in this perception of a perception of ourselves. Hence, my identity is made by what my parents think I should be. My identity is made up by what my college or university thinks I should achieve. While you're living in that bubble and that echo chamber, getting to what you really want to do is impossible.
150,000 people die every day. Tomorrow is not promised. So if I'm not going after it, then I'm going to die incomplete. I'm going to die being a person that I wasn't created to be. Like, I want to meet the greatest me. I want to meet my full potential.
The relationship between my essential nature, the nature of who I am, and my authentic nature and energy and environment. The environment is always trying to break you down. And if you're comfortable, then you become an agent of what your parents told you, the culture told you, and everything else. And your stories are protected. And even if you get successful, you're going to drop it out and you're going to lose it out because you want to make sure nothing really changes.
One idea of that there is a version of you that's out there somewhere that you want to clear everyone out of the way so you can just, focus on that. And then there's the other completely conflicting impulse, which is, well, maybe the best version of myself, rather than being out there somewhere which I'm never going to reach, is actually here. Maybe the self is something that extends and is sort of active and fluid and extends out into the relationships.
I'm scared of failure, or I'm scared to do it in the first place, or I'm scared, I'm worried, I'm fearful. But if we stop and think about it, somebody else has been in the same position as you, if not thousands of people, and they got past the fear.
Every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche are working to make your reality. So we make our thoughts, and our thoughts make us. Then we go out into the world and we justify our thoughts every day.
Greatest power is to be self-controlled, to be able to train the mind and energy to focus it exactly where you want it and when you want it to be. You are completely detached and undeterred from external ups and downs. You're able to navigate anything that seems tough, challenging, fun, excitement, without being too excited in pleasure or being too depressed in pain.
Gain leverage, right, in your life. Like, what's something that's going to make you move? That's all you have to do is move. Take that first step. That's the most important step in the journey. And listen, you're going to fall on your face. You're going to be embarrassed. But everybody who's experienced greatness has been through that.
I define pain as any uncomfortable experience or circumstance that interrupts your ability to be present in the magic of the moment.
When it comes to gifts, think about it like this. Like, when someone gives you a physical gift, like Christmas and your birthday, what do? You unwrap it, you show it to the world, you put it on Instagram. You got that same gift inside you that the world needs. And you're doing the world a disservice by leaving your gift wrapped up.
Fear. But I understand what the emotion of fear is. It's a subconscious trigger that causes this feeling that I don't like. And it's a go signal for me, not a stop signal for me.
But when you say I'm enough, its strength is its simplicity and its honesty. because you are enough. You're not your weight, your shape, your size, your bank account, your childhood. And the thing is, when you say it and really say it, speak it, and let it in, people pick up you're enough.
Today, I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am.